The SKORNE Empire, Part 2. Rise of the Occult Castes. As the SKORNE grew into an agricultural society, they rapidly advanced in the arts of beast handling and morphology. Over the centuries, Paingivers began to experiment with an ever-growing variety of creatures. Their increasing knowledge of anatomy and the application of pain has led to breakthroughs in both their own craft and related morphological arts. Permanent settlements allowed morphologists to engage in more and more precise study and allowed extollers to hone their spiritual arts. These highly skilled specialists quickly gained a special stature as a distinct caste of their own. Due to the importance of ancestor worship to the society, extollers have risen to prominence as guardians of ancestors and chosen of the extolled among the slain. Because of this, extollers have achieved a degree of power surpassing that normally afforded those outside the warrior castes. Different schools of philosophy, directed by the extollers, have risen around specific extolled ancestors, and these comprise the varied faiths and cults of the SKORNE. Extolled ancestors can interact with the living only through extollers, who spend their lives mastering the ability to communicate with the dead and studying the rituals and prohibitions involved, as the exalted consider it disrespectful to be disturbed without a compelling enough reason. Extollers' skills are intimately tied to the art of morphology, which all domineers and tyrants must master. Morphologists come to their arcane abilities using a unique blend of philosophy and anatomical knowledge. They understand that blood and living tissue have innate power. Though a morphologist bears a superficial similarities to a Western necromancer, he is adept at unnaturally sustaining life beyond the limits of death rather than animating remains. Morphologists also fuel their magic by mortifying their own bodies as well as by drawing on the life forces of their vanquished enemies. Paingivers have long been removed from house politics. They generally arise from the lower caste because their discipline requires initiates to forego all house affiliations, and few born to privilege and status are willing to make the sacrifice. In rural areas, they might arise from any of the fringed communities that track and tame beasts, while in urban areas, senior Paingivers recruit youths of exceptional talent, intelligence, and manual adroitness. Senior Paingivers are highly selective and never induct those who they do not believe can rise above the caste of their birth, which has limited their numbers. Paingivers must completely embrace the philosophies of the great ancestor Morkash before completing their initiation. This includes performing well after enduring an extended period of depredation and fasting. Once brought into the ranks of the Paingivers, an individual must disavow his former house loyalties and devote himself to the order. The distinct mask worn by Paingivers in public is a symbol of their faceless resolve and isolation. Removed from loyalty to a house, Paingivers can barter their services to any who meet their price. This places them in a unique position in SKORNE society as unaffiliated and highly specialized professionals performing tasks in great demand. Paingivers operate as spies to gather information, assassins to neutralize special targets, beast tamers to capture and manage flesh military assets for an army or a house, and interrogators to pry secrets from captured enemies. Most Paingivers specialized in one or two of these roles. Some establish a reputation for their singular interrogation techniques, while others gain renown for their skill at rearing and training beasts for war. The independence of this caste has shifted slightly since the consolidation of the SKORNE Empire. Now all Paingivers serve Lord Assassin Morgul first and can offer their services to other houses, only so long as it does not interfere with their primary duties. Addendum Cohort 1 of the House Kofar, prime cohort of the Southern Bloodstone Sabbath. House Balash has long relied on the expert cataphracts of House Kofar, and no tyrant better exemplifies the strength of the Hokusune Code than their leader, Tyrant Xerxes. This cohort has a place of special distinction in the army of the Western Reaches, as the first legion of the cohorts, mostly directly tied to House Balash. In the final months of the conqueror's rule, Makeda delivered this cohort a difficult mission. Tyrant Xerxes was to lead his elite troops and the depleted assets of several war-torn houses in a desperate action against a numerically superior foe. Survival of the tyrant or his cohorts was not expected. Not only did Xerxes survive with the core of his soldiers, but he was also then immediately summoned to join an even more desperate conflict already underway at the Castle of the Keys. The action of his cohort in this battle is a legend amongst the Skorne. It was there that Xerxes earned the privilege of future exaltation. After the battle, Xerxes' cohort was moved from the to the Kotar fastness. As further reward for his part in the Castle of the Keys, Makeda granted the tyrant some of the more hardened and veteran forces in all the army of the Western Reaches. Xerxes has undeniable preference of warriors capable of enduring the shocking violence and suffering upon which he thrives. Unsurprisingly, there are more cataphracts than any other discipline amongst his prime cohort. He is a brilliant tactician who has fully embraced Makeda's doctrines, however, so he also makes significant use of Praetorians and Venators. Numerous beast handlers responsible for the titans that Xerxes favors accompany the prime cohort. All who serve here do so with extreme zealotry. Because this cohort's great number of superb warriors, many extollers and ancestral guardians follow them into battle, expecting to find many souls worthy of exaltation. End addendum. Foundations of the Empire. It was not until the arrival of the human outcast Ventur Ralthorn IV that a true Skorne empire was established. The conqueror used great strength of arms and charisma to convince the Skorne leaders that he was one of their ancestors once again in living flesh. Though Ventur's reign as the Reborn was brief, he instituted sweeping changes to Skorne society, particularly in regard to its organization, castes, and warfare. Following Ventur's recent deposition, the Supreme Archdomina Makeda of House Balash has taken the reins of the empire. Makeda has a deep reverence for tradition, but she proved willing to continue the military reforms instituted by the conqueror so that her armies can sweep across the west and create an empire worthy of the Skorne. The impact of Ventur's reign has been enormous. He transformed the Skorne from a nation of feuding houses into a true unified empire. By requiring houses to support the army of the Western Reaches and consolidating warriors into new houses, he forged the first true weapons of conquest. It was Ventur who planted the idea of plundering the untapped wealth of the West. Before this arrival, the Skorne were ignorant of anything beyond the Stormlands. Though Ventur's true intent in unleashing this army upon the West evidently came under scrutiny and prompted his overthrow, his legacy on the Skorne military structure remains. Before his arrival, no lord had ever managed to consolidate any significant percentage of houses into a single army. With his invaluable experience, Ventur divided the empire into distinct regions called Tors, appointing leaders to govern them and ensure that subordinate houses contribute to the main army of conquest. Perhaps his greatest achievement was creating a military system that remained true to the ancient Skorne traditions and preserved their philosophies while supporting the logistics of hundreds of thousands of warriors. It was Ventur's changes some of Ventur's changes disrupted the tightly knit traditional houses. changes not embraced enthusiastically by most of the fundamental element of the SKORNE society. He expanded the concept that one house could not absorb another by conquest to suggest that all houses essentially have been conquered by the rule of the empire. By this justification, he claimed the right to reallocate and reform the houses as required by the military hierarchy. This claim has the added benefit of making it difficult to organize insurrection against the central rule, as each house army was divided and mixed. He compelled each tyrant to tie the percentage of his warriors to join the army sent into the west. Ventor also allowed SKORNE to ascend through the officer ranks, even attaining tyrant with greater speed than was possible in the old caste system. A new tyrant was allowed to use his subordinates as the core of a new house under his leadership. Addendum: the disciplines of agony. Numerous specializations exist among the Paingiver class, and some members develop multiple interests. All, however, share a refined knowledge of anatomy and elementary pain induction. Most Paingivers fall within one of three general schools of study. Beast handlers specialize in capturing and conditioning of creatures to use for labor and in war. They have extensive knowledge of the anatomies and nervous systems of a wide variety of beasts and are responsible for the breeding and conditioning of domesticated species as well as the handling of war beasts in battle. Tormentors are experts in torture and interrogation. They carry a wide variety of implements to aid them in their craft. Most tyrants and dominars employ the services of tormentors to ensure their loyalty. Blood runners are the premier SKORNE spies and assassins. They have mastered a strange metallurgical art with which they can manipulate the very shadow itself. Continued